Oh, hi. Good to see you there. My name's Nick Nordstrom, and I just finished this fantastic book, Without Fail by Lee Childs, in the Jack Reacher series. It is a very, very good series, and I was about to start reading this one, so it ended up being a perfect choice for this Marking Periods book. Anyway, it's a very good action-adventure book, and it's filled to the brim with, well, action-adventure. It was a it was probably one of my all-time favorite action books that I've read, and I've read a lot. Anyway, a small summary of this book would be Jack Reacher, who is a ex-military detective. He was honorably discharged, either or. They don't really specify about that part. Anyway, he is asked to kill the Vice President of the United States. The Vice President, not the President, the Vice President of the United States, which is like he's from like Bismarck, North Dakota. He's like a senator or a mayor from there. Anyway, he is asked by his dead brother, who is a CIA operative, his ex-lover, basically. So the little something there, between the families. But his brother was a super shady character back in the day, dude, with the CIA, doing weird stuff with, I don't know, who knows. It doesn't specify. A very unspecific book, you can tell. Anyway, he's asked to kill, not to kill, exactly, to attempt to kill the Vice President of the United States. So that way the CIA had a dead to rights plan on how to protect him. Anyway, he accepts. He obviously accepts the offer, and he basically the woman that asked him wants to try and find someone that's also been threatening the actual assassination attempt on the vice president. They had failed the first time, but they had promised not to fail again. And so they were threatening everyone in the Secret Service, the CIA, Vice President Armstrong, which is his name, by the way. So they want to catch him. Pretty cliche, if you ask me. Anyway, he accepts, and the climax of the book ends with them finding him. They find him chilling and stuff, trying to kill the vice president, obviously. They get him, and they get him. And then the book ends right there. An interesting passage I read while reading this book was, every city has a cusp where the good part of town, and the bad, and turns bad. Washington, D.C. was no different. The border between desirable and undesirable ran in a ragged, irregular loop, bulging outward here and there to accommodate reclaimed blocks, swooping inward in other areas to claim inroads of its own. This quote by Lee Childs kind of teaches me and other readers that basically everyone has a good and a bad to them. People and places, everywhere and everything. Everything's alike. There's good and bad in everything. Everything in this planet, basically. And so, he's trying to just teach us that no one's perfect. To be pretty blunt about it. The immediate context of it is Jack Reacher ends up in Washington, D.C. And so he's just walking around and stuff, and he sees just how different life is between downtown and like the suburbs, not really the suburbs, but like the outskirts, I guess, if you want to be fancy. Basically like the outside part of town. And everything's like gentrified downtown, looks super nice, you can do whatever. And outside it's a bunch of like, it's really trashy, and a lot of homeless people and stuff like that. Like pretty much like any other city, really. And that was the immediate context of it. And so the bold picture, the big picture of this quote that I personally found myself. I found it myself. I didn't find the quote myself. I read it. Anyway, I knew that makes no sense, but anyway, go past that. The big picture would be that everyone, like I said, is good and bad on the outside. It could be good on the outside and bad on the outside, but they could be a good person inside or a bad person inside. You really can't judge a book by its cover. Kind of like how Washington, D.C. and most cities are like. It could look really nice, but in general, the whole city could be really bad. Like, it's just that one part of the city that's, like, super nice. And this book helped me realize that sometimes your past can catch up to you. And one quote that shows this is, Joe nominated you for a dangerous job like this. Basically, Joe is a secret operative back in the CIA, and he wanted Reacher to really do this because he was supposed to do it. He ended up dying on the job. So this is like some super shady stuff going on, and this was a very helpful book in my journey because it was not lacking in excitement or adventure necessarily. It was a very balanced out book in terms of just what I really was looking for, and one quote that shows this is Joe is he made her change jobs, so she had to change. She went over to the dangerous side, and basically this quote shows that you have to change to really get the excitement and adventure. Sometimes you can't just stay in one perfect spot. You have to really branch out and meet people and do things that you necessarily wouldn't do in your everyday routine and life and stuff. I truly don't aspire to be anyone particular in this book. Maybe certain aspects of certain characters, but not exactly one person. One thing I would take is Jack Reacher's problem-solving ability, which is impeccable. Like, out of this world. Really good. And it's throughout the book, he solves many problems. And one quote from there. A problem shared is a problem halved. Short, sweet, to the point. Basically, it means that if you can find other people with the same problem, you can accomplish things. You can get together and you can really make a difference with that group of people. It's much easier to solve a problem with more people. You got a lot of weight on your shoulders, a lot of stress, and you can solve a problem fairly easy. My rating for this book would be 3 stars. It had the adventure, it had everything, but I was expecting more out of it in terms of depth. To be completely honest, it took me literally 2 hours to find a good passage. Anyway, I don't recommend this book to anyone because it's not for the faint of heart. Very long. Anyway, this has been Nick Nordstrom. Thank you for watching my Deep Read vlog.